Hello, welcome back to Easy Auto. Today we are going to replace the distributor wires and plugs in the 79 Lincoln. I went ahead and made me a starter button. That way I can put it up on top dead center. You probably don't have to do that if you don't want to, as long as you get the new distributor lined up where the old one came out. But I like to go ahead and do that anyways. And I wanted to play around and make me a new starter button. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get set up maybe where you can see what I'm doing easier, and we'll get started, get this show on the road. Alright, here we go. First off, I'd like to say everything on this car is brittle. It's all original. So we're just going to go ahead and start by getting the breather out of the way. Try to be careful on this. Sure don't want to break nothing. We can help it. That's never a good thing. I'm sure there's got to be lots of things that he probably will be replacing in time. I'm gonna try to get these spark plugs out and wires off without breaking and causing myself a whole lot more trouble. One of the first things I always like to do is find where the number 1 is and go ahead and pull it off. In this case, all the wires are already marked on them. And of course the cap on this is marked too. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get it up on number 1. Get it up on number 1 to start with. That way I can pull the wires off and make sure my distributor is on number 1. Number 1 compression. Yeah, look everybody, I know my videos ain't all just wonderful. I don't know how to edit yet, so I do the best I can to try to make a decent video. The plus side is y'all get to see what actually really happens, and a lot of the stuff that we go through, the mistakes, everything. So one thing I can tell you, there ain't nobody out there that's perfect. Get that out of the way. Look at this old rusty spark plug. It's, I don't know if you can see this. This is just nasty. You know, all of them's gonna look like that. I mean, it's just the way it goes. But it's amazing this thing still runs at all. Someone has changed these spark plugs before though. This is an Autolite spark plug. The wires may be original, but the spark plugs are not, even though they are older and all get out. Yeah, I mean, the rust is just falling off of it. I mean, it's set a long time, but you know, it did set underneath a porch area. So here we go. Let me go ahead and set this over here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just stick my finger in the hole here and See if I can get it up on number 1 compression. Ooh. We'll do it one more time. Okay, so there's number 1. Well, that's compression anyways. Let me get us a little screwdriver, stick down in the hole so we can feel the top of the cylinder. Definitely right up top. Let me get my flashlight and stuff so I can see if I can see the timing mark down here on it. Pass it. Really hard to see in there. Don't see it at all. I'm going to go around again and see if I can see that. Oh, I can't do it like that. I'll end up breaking my... break my light. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause you for a minute, but I'm actually going to get under there and see if I can locate the mark on the crank pulley itself so I can make sure that I'm zeroed out on my top dead center. I'm going to pause it while I do this. I got me a little paint pen here. Now I'm going to crawl under this beast and see if I can mark it. Alright, I'm back. I crawled under there. It's a good thing I made that button, starter button, because I had to crank it over while I was under there. And of course, I'm home by myself at the moment, so really got no help. That turned out pretty good. Okay, I got the 0 mark, and I also made a dot on the 14 before top dead center, because when I set the timing later, that's what it's going to need to be on. So I'm going to move this back around again and just see if I can get it top dead center. Once again, maybe start getting this project on the road. Hope you can hear me fine. Now I'm gonna just move it back just a little bit I'm going to see if I can get you a shot of this. This might be a little bit hard to see. See if I can get lined up on it for you down there. So much in the flipping way. Oh, there it is. Get the light. Just perfect. Okay, you can see down here. See if I can zoom in on it a little bit. Stupid light. I got the arm on the long mark. You can see the white dot behind that. That's my 14 degrees. Top dead center. So now we're going to move on with this video. And see if we can't get this distributor off. I do need to go ahead and mark my firing order. See, a lot of times you will have firing order right on the intake of a vehicle. Seven 2 6 5 4 8. Seven. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down so I don't have to sit there and keep looking at it. Alright, I got the firing order wrote down, 137265548. So now we don't have to worry about trying to pull everything off one at a time and worry about all that nonsense. We can just pull it off and go on about life. What I do like to do is keep my left side and right side wires separated. That way when I take them out of the new box, and as you can see, hopefully you can see this. Let's see, my one is right here. like my rotor is about right here. So I might want to double check, which of course that's gonna change because when it fires it's gonna be wanting to fire on 14. So we're gonna leave that just like it is. Go ahead and check. Oh yeah, that's top dead center. Went right before my number 1. I like to double check everything. Mark everything. This, I'll show you, this is what I was talking about. The pickup. Here's your pickup, or your distributor pickup, also known as a crank sensor. This little wheel looking thing here, that's your ammeter. When the ammeter arm reaches here, then it'll bring that square wave that I was explaining up to about 10 volts. When the arm goes in between, it'll drop it down to about a ground. So you'll stay on ground longer than you will 10 volts. Anyways, we'll keep on going here. Takes a lot of time to do this stuff, trying to videotape. So what I do want to do, I'm going to put this back on here, because I am going to want to make a couple marks on this old distributor so I can match it up to my new one. And it'll just make things a little bit easier so I can confirm where I'm at. So. I'm also gonna do, get up in here, try to eyeball. I'm gonna eyeball where this vacuum port is kind of pointing. Put a mark on here. That way when I set it back in on my new distributor, I know that my rotor should be pointing about right there. My vacuum should be pointing there. Okay. Also, one of my handiest little tools is a little miniature pipe wrench. Way I can reach down in there on the crank pulley and grab a hold of it and just turn it just a little bit when I need to. That one's freebie for you. Also, it works great for stripped out rusty bleeders on your brake calipers. I'll get set up on tools to pull the distributor out. I'll be back. Alright, here's the situation. I'm having a heck of a time getting to that bolt. Don't even know if it's possible to see it in there. See if I can find me up on it. I doubt it. Can't. Anyways, it's tucked back in here. The problem is I'm gonna end up having to remove that AC unit, at least fold it back so I can get to everything. Now, just before I start it, I actually want to show y'all that it's actually already been unplugged for a while. I don't know why they got it unplugged. Probably because it's out of Freon or something. I don't know. It takes the R12. But either way, I'm going to just remove the housing, remove the belt, and get this thing out of the way so I can get to my job. That's part of the problem we're having here. So, we're going to try to get y'all lined back up here. And we'll go for it. First thing I got to do is take that belt loose. Just loosen that up. We got a bolt right here behind the pulley. Had y'all paused earlier while I was messing with it. I guess I should have kept it rolling. Ended up beating my knee and all kinds of stuff. Things that really go on really happen. Thank you to the second belt. We can do that. I'll go get my impact. One of them. Bolt on the inside there just looks rusty on that distributor. It's actually got me a little bit concerned on if it's going to come loose. It should. It's an Arkansas truck, so it should come loose fine. What is that? 5/8 or don't want to get in too big of a hurry, because when you do, you drop stuff. Get in too big of a hurry, too big of a rush, things like to break. That's never good. You sure don't want to break anything while we're working. It's always a bummer when that happens. Let's see if I can get this bolt loose. What's strange is there's one bolt on the back of this alternator, or sorry, air conditioner unit that goes into the pump that is about that much out of it, you know, so it's probably pretty rusty. I don't know if somebody stripped it when they had messed with this thing before or not. I have another bolt hiding on me here down at the bottom. This AC unit. Of course, you know, the video's probably going to be too long, just because. I better check on how much time it is, because it'll stop. Yeah, this video probably end up being too long, so, you know, if you feel like you need to fast forward, go right ahead. Don't blame you. You know, there. You can see where this vacuum line is broken on this piece. I've noticed that a long time ago. It's just this plastic on a lot of this stuff is just brittle. Like the clips and whatnot, they're so brittle that the ears just break off of them. You know, so over time that happens, and you gotta just replace things or not worry about it, you know. As far as that goes, I'd replace that vacuum line. Let me see here if I can somehow squeeze this out of here without breaking anything. All right, now let me show you that rusty old distributor bolt. Yeah, see that? It's pretty nasty. I'm gonna get my air blower out, and I'm gonna blow all that out before I even take it loose. I don't want that junk falling down in it. Gotta stay cleanliness, right? All right, here we go. Safety first. Get the goggles out. Make sure you got your eyes covered. Anyways, what I was saying is safety first. You don't want that rust and nasty in your eyeball. I've done it before. It's no fun. Get that stuff in your eye and have to go have it drilled out. Safety first. Make sure you use your jack stands. Make sure your jack stands are safe. All of that good stuff. Let me see if I can get something on this bolt here. Now that I got it blowed out, it don't look as bad. So we'll see what happens here. I don't know if I can get this on there or not. Now I'm gonna have to probably use a wrench. More than likely. Would have been nice to have crow's foot, but I need to get some more of those. Alright, now get my wrench locked on it here. break it loose without it trying to strip out on me. May have to move this air conditioner a little bit further out of my way if I can. Choke wire. Oh, there it goes. Come loose that time. Get on this thing to where you can get that bolt out of it. Not normally the kind of video I make. Try not to. Try to make more of diagnostic videos. But figure what the heck. I'm gonna put this right out of the way. Probably put some anti-seize lubricant or something on that. I'm going to go ahead and blow that off again. There was some rust underneath that. And I really don't want it falling down in the engine. You know, that always. Alright, sorry about that. My video stopped on me and I didn't know it. So what I did is quick rundown is I put some lubricant on it and I took my little hammer and I just tapped on the distributor till it started moving a little bit. Then I started working it back and forth till it finally came out and came loose. Then I blew it all out again. Make sure none of that looseness fell down in it. So now I got my new one. Got my new distributor here. And I'm actually just going to take some grease and just lube up the gear on it some, you know, lube everything up. That way it just don't go in there dry. And I'm going to take this O-ring and go ahead and get it lubed up too. So I took the cap off of it. Come as a complete distributor. So now we're going to drop it back in there as soon as I get a rag to wipe my nasty hand off with. Distributors here, kind of getting it close to where I believe it's going to be. I'm going to go ahead and pull these wires out of the way here. You got a plastic clip. I'm holding them down. Don't want to have to deal with that when I put the distributor and everything back in it. So go ahead and move those. There we go. I'm going to see if I can set this thing back in here. Get everything lined up just right. If it's not perfect, that's it. My other one's about right there. Before. Too much. There it is. Okay. Now she's dropped all the way down in there. To set this. Right where I had it. If you remember right, let's see, this, hopefully this is marked too. Yeah, okay. So this has got my number 1. If you remember right, when I had took this off, it was right about there on distributor. Check I laid my old cap down somewhere. There it is. should be right on the money, pretty close right there. We'll put a timing light on it here later. And see how that goes. I'll put a little bit of TV blaster. A little TV blaster on this bolt here. Going to snug it down for the time being. Don't want it too tight. I still want to be able to get in there and tighten it up, since it's a little bit of a different style distributor. I might just be able to get to it with my socket this time, if I can find it. And what did I do with it? There's my ratchet. There's that. Well, let me see what I did with my dangum socket here. Okay, what I'm checking right now is there's a little bit of a difference between this distributor and the old distributor. On the old distributor, I couldn't get my 1/2-inch socket and extension down in there, so I had to use a wrench. But on this one, looks like I'll be able to get to it, so that'll be great, because I'll be able to put the air conditioner on it and everything, and then be able to check the timing on it without having to leave the air conditioner off of it and do it and then put it all back together again. So that's great. So now I'm gonna just leave this vacuum line off of the distributor for the moment, because when I do decide that it's time to set the timing on it, I gotta take that vacuum off anyways and pinch it off. So now we're gonna go ahead and start removing the wires, hopefully. Trying not to break them. Not that it really matters. Just some of these can be a real killjoy, huh? Pair of pliers. Yeah, see, that one broke right off. Of course it did. Why wasn't it, right? The rubber boots like to stick on to the spark plug. making it more difficult to get off there. And of course this one's coming apart in pieces. Try to twist them if you can, get them to break free from the spark plug. Three out of four ain't bad. Of course, I put fender covers on this car to try to protect the fenders. Rusty crusty from when it wasn't firing real well. You can actually, I don't know if you can tell, but that one's a little bit wet because it wasn't hitting very well, so it was kind of flooding it out. Move on to the next one. Ugh, that one feels kind of tight in there. Carbon buildup maybe on the end of the plug. So we just go back and forth a little bit with the spark plug. So we try not to break it off. That's the bad part about leaving your spark plugs in your car so long and not changing them out, even if it's a great running car. The carbon builds up. On it. And it can make it difficult, you know. Yeah, that one was a little bit wet too. When I started it this morning, first thing this morning, I could feel it missing pretty bad. I knew it wasn't running on all four or all eight. That one ain't too bad. I mean, it's dirty, but it ain't like it's the end of the world on it. except it's so rusted. Okay. I'm going to take you with me on just about every vehicle out there, unless somebody has ripped it off. There is a information tag on this one. It just so happens to be right on the valve cover. I know it's hard to see, but I'll just tell you, the spark plug gap is between 48 to 52, and my ignition timing is to be set at 14 degrees before top dead center. So now I'm going to get part of these spark plugs ready to go. I'll bring you over here and let you see. Not that you really have to, but we're gonna check the gap on all these plugs. Well, I can tell you right now, even if they say they're preset from the factory, you can see that this one is actually almost closed up. So you always want to check that. Make sure they're set what they're supposed to be. Make sure they ain't closed up. There's another one that's been bent. We'd have a dead miss if we was just to put those in. So yeah, there's 3 out of 4 of these ones, which this is kind of old stock. Sorry about that. Anyways, back to the story. The car came in for a tune-up. Was running fine when they was finished with it. It had a dead miss, and I got thinking about it because from experience I've done the same thing before. When I was actually putting the spark plug in one of my old Fords, I had bumped the spark plug up against the head of the engine, and it bumped it just enough when I was putting it in that it closed the gap up. Of course, I was pretty young, so my grandfather had told me, well, did you end up bumping one of the spark plugs? Of course, back then I didn't have no diagnostic machine to see if which cylinder was firing or not firing. And so I just happened to tell that old boy that was working on his ride, you know, to check that. And sure enough, he pulled it out, and he had bumped the spark plug and closed up the gap. So something to look for when you're doing a tune-up, something to be careful on. Now what I like to do is make sure I put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads, you know, try to keep it away from the igniter there, whatever you want to call it. That way they don't seize up on the next person. Yeah, this stuff is nasty. It gets everywhere, but can also save you a lot of difficulty in the future. I also want to check, since these was kind of bumped around, kind of looking at the porcelain on them too. Make sure they're not cracked or anything right out of the box. Sometimes shipping can do that to you. And now we're going to go ahead and start putting these back in. Another good thing you can do, if you got a rubber hose or something, you can stick that in there and turn it, and usually that will actually line it up better than you can with a socket or your finger or anything. Keep it from cross-threading on you. Most of the time. Of course I say that and watch it not work. We'll find out when I go to tighten them up how well it works. It's worked for me a lot in the past, especially when you can't get your fingers in there to tighten them up. Of course, as you should know, there's always a torque spec for everything, but I'm not going to be getting the torque wrench out to torque these down. Every bolt and nut on a vehicle has some type of torque specifications, which is good on a lot of things, and it'd be good on this too. Of course, you damn sure don't want to over tighten it, because you can cause spark plug damage. But a lot of that comes with just having some experience working with these things. I'm going to finish tightening these up, and I'm going to take a break because my mother has shown up. I'm going to visit with her a little bit. But as you can see, that hose trick does fine. These threads start it nice and easy. They're screwing in nice and easy. Just a little tip in case you go ahead and shut you down and tighten this last one up. All right, here we go. We're back. Easy auto. I know y'all missed a lot of the video. My phone went dead on me. But we got the new distributor in. My old timing light was junk, so I had to go buy me a new one. We got it set on 14 degrees, top dead center. And we're gonna fire it up for you. And let you hear it run. And let me see. You probably won't be able to get a good view of it down there. Right now I do have the vacuum advance put on it, so it's just a little bit behind the mark, but when you unplug it, it goes right on, just the way it should. Give it a little bit of gas. And that's the way an old motor should sound. Beautiful. All new wires on it. New distributor. And she is purring like a kitten.